Let's see. Okay, so 1 second.
Hi guys, morning. Morning. So it's just 11 on the dot, but welcome to everybody that's here. Welcome Ifeanyi, welcome Muhammad, and our guest speaker Anastasia. So just giving me like a few more minutes, right, for other people to join, so we don't just start and then we have to repeat ourselves. But maybe about 5 minutes, then we'll not kick off officially. Over is here, we'll begin. But just to let you guys know, especially our guest speaker, we always record our sessions so that others can rewatch it on YouTube channel. So I don't know if that's okay with you. So just put it on YouTube so that the others can rewatch. But like I said, just give us 5 minutes so that the rest can join in and then we'll kick off officially. But then I'll hand over to my our co-founder here, Ifeanyi, who will then handle the event for the rest of the session. Thanks, guys.
All right. Cheers. All right, so 5 minutes then.
All right, guys. I think we'll kick off. Yeah. So yeah, let's begin.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's session. I'll just do a quick introduction. My name is Ifeanyi Madu, and I'm one of the co-founders of Talent Act. And we've got with us here Chilezie, who's also a co-founder. He'll do a little bit of introduction about himself as well. Talent Act is an organization that helps people that are with talents become globally recognized as global talent here in the UK. Our main goal is to see people with talent achieve success in terms of global talent. Some people may be completely new to the Global Talent Program and some may have experience. But one thing with Talent Act is we are there for every level of experience. And to achieve success, we have various partners at different levels. One of those partners is someone that will be here today to talk to us. I don't want to go too deep into the global talent itself. I would let the expert here, Anastasiia, talk about it. So today is we're going to talk about the global talent in general with a focus on art. And then I'm going to let Anastasiia, who's one of our partners and a global talent expert with huge success rates. I'm gonna give her the floor now without wasting much time so that she can take us through what she has for us today. Anastasiia, are you here with us?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah.
It's nice to be here today. So, yes, I'm going to talk about the Arts Council route of the Global Talent Visa. And I would like to share my presentation. Just let me see how it works. Just a second. Sorry.
Should be the third icon from the left.
Yes, I'm just figuring it out.
Okay, cool.
Yes, here it is. Okay. Sorry, do you see?
Yeah, we can see a screen, we can see a slide.
And I can do it like play, right?
Yep.
Do you see the slide right now? Yes?
Yes, it's visible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, yes, as I have said, this webinar is going to be focused on the arts and culture route of the Global Talent Visa. And here is today's agenda. So, we're going to talk about what the Global Talent Visa is actually, what routes it consists of, how can you be eligible for the Global Talent Visa in the Arts Council route. And then we will continue talking about the documents you need to submit the application and how to perfect them so that you can get endorsed. So let's start with the two routes of the Global Talent Visa. These are almost the same in every endorsing body, but there are some differences to them. Arts Council has exceptional talent and exceptional promise, right like Technation, for example, because Technation is the most popular endorsing body in the Global Talent Visa paradigm. So have the same roots. So they must have longer than 5 years of track record, and they have to prove that they consistently have contributed to the industry and have achieved great results throughout their last 5 years of professional work. So they have to be recognized on a national or international level, and this category has a very high level of has to have a very high level of recognition. Whereas when we have exceptional promise, this is a leader that is not yet established. So you have to prove that you will become a recognized leader in the future, that you have potential, and it is easier to get an endorsement if you're a promise candidate, because you don't have to win the awards, you don't have to prove that you are already established. You just have to show that you have this potential. So the criteria are a bit lower for this route. But please note that there are some special routes have less than 5 years experience. For instance, it applies to PACT, film and TV applicants. PACT doesn't have exceptional promise. So let's dive deeper into the talent and promise categories. And let's see what kind of documents you have to provide when you apply for the endorsement in the arts and culture route. So there is a huge difference with technician, for example. When you apply as a tech applicant, you don't have to provide a letter from a UK-based organization. So all of your referees can be from whatever country, whatever nationality. You don't have to show that you are endorsed by someone in the UK. What makes this route difficult is that you have to show a UK endorsement. So the first letter that you have to submit must be from a UK-based cultural organization. So it has to be an organization registered in the UK. It's best if it has a company's house number. And it has to be connected with your field of expertise. So if you're a musician, for example, it has to be an organization that deals with music in some way or another. So it can be a company that organizes concerts, for example, in the UK, that is registered in the UK. It has to be a well-established organization. So it must be recognized in some way or another. And there are no strict criteria regarding these organizations, but well, it has to have some media recognition, at least, because Arts Council is gonna judge your organization based on their media presence, based on their recognition in the UK cultural landscape. Then the second letter is another organization. It can be in the UK or it can be from any other country. And of course, it's easier to get a letter from an organization from any other country than the UK, because the UK letter is the most difficult part of the entire application, I think. Because in my experience, my clients rarely have this organization ready. So they have to search for someone who can provide a recommendation for them. So when you have the second letter, it's most likely that you will go for an organization overseas, maybe in your country of residence, for example. So again, it has to be a cultural organization that is focused on your area of expertise. Again, if it is music, it is music. If it is acting, then it is an acting organization. And maybe if you're a comedian, then it has to be some organization that maybe organizes comedy shows, for instance. So letter 2 is another organization, and letter 3, again, it can be an organization from any country, or it can be an eminent individual. Again, in my experiences, clients most usually go for an eminent individual because it's hard to find 3 organizations, and it's easier to find a person for the third letter. So again, as with the organizations, Arts Council doesn't have any strict requirements regarding the level of recognition of this individual, but it has to be a person who has some media recognition, some awards, some achievements. So as I usually say to my clients, it has to be a person who potentially can get a global talent visa themselves. So if they were to apply, they would get endorsed. This is the level of recognition the referee must be level with. So Arts Council is very strict with the requirements regarding the contents of the letter. So for instance, technician isn't very strict. There are not so many requirements, but for Arts Council, it is very important to follow the rules that are stated in the guidelines. So as you can see on the slide, every letter must have an organization logo, a registered address, date, and a signature. So it is also very important to note that signature must be from a senior member of the organization. So you cannot just ask some employee of the UK or overseas organization to sign your letter. It has to be someone that can make decisions on behalf of the organization. So some senior position. There are many options regarding what kind of position it may be, but it has to be senior, maybe C-level or something like this. So then each letter has to include a full CV of the referee. It can be done in any way or form on the last page of the document. It can be just a paragraph retelling all the achievements of the referee. It can be a full CV done like artistically, or it can be something in between of this. So again, contact details, it is a must because Arts Council sometimes contacts referees to check that they did sign the letter and that it is not a fraud on behalf of the applicant. Then, as I have said, company's house number, because it has to be a registered UK cultural organization. And regarding the content of the letter itself, each referee has to cover the following topics. So they have to talk about your past or current working relationship with the applicant. So it cannot be someone or some organization that you haven't worked in any way or form before with. So they have to know your expertise in some way or another. Then also they have to retail all your achievements and state why you are a talent or a promise candidate, and then talk about the future basically. So what you're going to bring to the UK, how the living in the UK will affect your career specifically, and how this relocation will benefit both the country and your career. So it has to cover past, present, and future. And another important mention is that it cannot be longer than 3 pages. So the letters must be 3 pages or less, and the CV doesn't count as this limit. So you can have a 3-page letter and a 4-page can be taken by the CV. It is not against the guidelines. So, and as it says on the slide, handwritten letters are not permitted, and letters must be in English or translated if they're not in English. So yes, I think that letters of support are a very important topic when we talk about the Arts Council route, because they're more complicated than any other endorsing body. And when Arts Council checks the cases, they literally check boxes. The pro forma, when an applicant receives a rejection, they have a pro forma, and there are boxes that are either checked or not. So every letter has to be checked for this criterion to be covered. If any letter doesn't meet any of the requirements, this box will not be checked. And when you reapply, you have to take into consideration the fact that it was not checked, and you have to change the letter in some way or another. Maybe change the referee, maybe change the content, whatever feedback was in the pro forma. So yes, this is regarding the letters. And then we have another document that is very important for the application, is the artistic CV. Some people underestimate the CV because it seems very easy and it doesn't hold much weight as the other types of documents, as the pieces of evidence and as the letters. But I find it wrong to underestimate the CV because it allows you to tell the story of your application in just one document. So in your artistic CV, you demonstrate all your achievements in one place. So there is not a page limit. You can make it as long as you want to, but I suggest you make it accessible to the officer that is going to check your case, and make it make it short but very detailed as much as possible. So you have to demonstrate how you are eligible for the track that you have chosen, either talent or a promise. So if you picked the exceptional promise route, you need to show that your experience does not exceed 5 years. So it has to show all the timings of your career. If you have chosen the exceptional talent route, then you have to show that your track record exceeds 5 years and you are eligible for this route. So everything that you have not shown in the case, that is not eligible for the case, can also be shown in the CV to strengthen the overall picture of your profile. Because sometimes you have some words that you won before the 5-year limit, but you want to show them as well. You can include them in your CV. They will not be, strictly speaking, they will not be considered, but they will help you build your profile. So it will look more full, sort of. Yes, so education, formal training, yes, it is important. Most of the time when applicants submit their cases for the arts and culture route, their education was completed a long time ago. So it is not included in the 5-year limit. But it's important to include your education because it helps the officer see your full profile, build a full picture of you, and basically they can recognize your talent. For example, if you had some scholarships or maybe some awards during your education, it also can be important for the application, even though strictly speaking it is not included in the guidelines. It still can help, and I advise you not to overlook this. So then we have I think the most important document in the entire case. I call them pieces of evidence, but many people call them many different ways. So these are the 10, up to 10 documents that you can submit to prove that you are either an exceptional talent or an exceptional promise. So basically to prove your exceptionality to the officer who's going to check your case. So we have only 3 criteria, and to get endorsed, you have to cover at least two of these 3 criteria. I have to say that in most cases, when I prepare cases for my clients, I try to cover all the criteria because it is much safer for the endorsement. Because if the officer decides that one criterion is not covered enough, then we have other 2. Because when we cover only 2 criteria, it is more risky. It is more risky to get refused. So if it is possible for you to provide materials for all 3 criteria, I suggest you do it because the possibility of getting endorsed is much higher. And in my experience, it is pretty likely that the client has materials for all 3 criteria. So let's talk about them. We have media recognition, international awards, and proof of appearances. I believe proof of appearances is the most complicated criterion, especially if we take into account how different the spheres of the areas of expertise the client might have. There are many different ways to prove that you have proof of appearances, but we'll get back to it later. So, media recognition. There are very important strict rules regarding this criterion. So, you have to prove that you had an article written about you, about your performance, about your professional contributions in the arts and culture. It has to give a critical evaluation of your work. It has to have an author. So the author has to be an eminent individual in the industry as well. So it cannot be written by some no name, so to speak. The author has to be Googleable, and they have to have some achievements in the industry. So for exceptional talent, there have to be at least 2 articles in 2 different countries. Any country is eligible. It doesn't matter which country. It doesn't have to be the UK. It can be the country of your residence and some other country. And as it says on the slide, credible art critics have to write the critical article. So it doesn't have to be again, speaking from experience, it doesn't have to be strictly about your achievements. It can be an article talking about a couple of different experts, and it can include you as well. If you have performed, for example, in a play, the article can talk about the play and mention that the cast was exceptional. And in this way, your performance is also critically judged by this article. So it is eligible for this criterion. But it is important to know the difference between talent and promise. So if you are applying as an exceptional promise candidate, you don't have to show that your recognition is in 2 different countries. It can be just one country, the country of your residence, for example. So also it is more possible for promise candidates to have these kind of this kind of articles where the applicant's name is not mentioned. So if you're a talent, it is better to have your name mentioned specifically in the article. If you're a promise, it can go anyway. So if your name is not mentioned, but the performance is mentioned, then it also can be eligible. And again, if you're a promise candidate, the article can be published in the blog, but I don't advise, because it is very likely that Arts Council won't recognize it as eligible. It is better to be a media that focuses on arts and culture and covers all the current events in the area of your expertise. So I also had some endorsed cases, where a very well-known expert in the industry, in the area of expertise of my clients, they gave an interview and they talked about my client, basically in the context of the interview, and they gave a critical evaluation of my client's work. So this is also possible. There are many ways then that you can go about this criterion, but it is important that it cannot be an interview, because it also cannot be an announcement of the play you're going to act in, for example. It has to include some critical evaluation of your work. Then we go on to the second criterion, international awards. So for talent, you have to have won at least one internationally significant award. Again, the Arts Council does not provide any strict requirements regarding the significance of this award. They don't have a list of awards that are accepted. They will judge every award case by case. So I have seen some cases where applicants had won an award, but the Arts Council didn't find this award internationally significant. So despite the fact that the award had been won, the criterion was not covered, basically because they weren't significant enough. So again, it is judged case by case, and no one can give you any guarantees regarding whether this or that award will be accepted by the Arts Council. So again, it is important that every piece of evidence that you submit has to cover your achievements received within the last 5 years. They are what's included. So if you want something earlier than the last 5 years, you cannot show this in the case. So yes, no students or academic award, because they're not eligible for the exceptional talent route. And it must be an internationally significant award in the area of your expertise. And for the exceptional promise, the requirements are a bit easier. So you have to either win or be nominated for a national or international award. So for talent, this has to be an internationally significant award. For promise, it can be a nationally significant award. So again, yes, this is easier, but still this has to be a significant award. But as it says in the slide, you can submit a full scholarship to a recognized institution. Again, there are no strict requirements regarding the kinds of institutions that are going to be accepted. We don't know what kind of institutions can be deemed recognized. It is up to Arts Council to say. So, international awards I think it is the easiest criterion if you overlook the fact that the award has to be. Sorry? Okay. So it is the easiest criterion if you have won something. And I will get back later to how you can strengthen your profile, and it is also a criterion that you can strengthen by yourself. And finally, the last criterion is proof of appearances. For exceptional talent, you have to demonstrate that your work was performed or exhibited or sold in at least 2 countries. So, as I have said, it depends on your area of expertise, what kind of materials can be applied to this criterion. Again, it is judged case by case, depending on what kind of a professional you are. For example, if you write books, you have to show that your books have been sold in at least 2 countries. You have to show the earnings from the sale of these books, and you have to show something like maybe reviews, statistics again, and basically their performance on the market. If you're an actor, you have to show that you have acted in some shows or plays in at least 2 countries. And you have to show some flyers, advertisements, etc., proving your performances in at least 2 countries. Yes, so the events must be within the last 2 years. They cannot be events in the future. And for instance, when you're an actor, you don't have to show the quantity of the tickets sold. It does not matter. What matters is the fact that you performed in some kind of a show. When your work is not performance-based, for instance, as I have mentioned, when you write books, when you write songs, so when your songs are streamed, for example, on some streaming services, you have to provide statistics from these streaming services. So how many streams your songs have received in the last 5 years, how many royalties you received, etc. So again, it depends on your area of expertise, and we will get back to different areas of expertise a bit later. So as for exceptional promise, the number of countries goes down to 1. 2, you have to perform or you have to sell your art in at least 1 country, for example, your country of residence. This is the easiest example. So again, you have to prove that you have performed. You have to show some pictures from the performance, some programs, posters, maybe social media posts announcing the performance, and maybe some, in this case, articles recapping the event are okay. So when we have the media recognition criterion, recap articles are not okay because they don't have any critical evaluation of your work. When we have the proof of appearances criterion, we can show some articles that either announce your appearance or recap your appearance. So this is okay for this criterion. Okay, so this is it. There are no more criteria for the arts and culture route. And as I have said, you have to cover at least 2 of these 3 criteria to get endorsed and get all the letters of all the letters of reference correct as well. Because if either one of these categories is not covered, is not found good enough by the Arts Council, then you will not get endorsed. So it is important to keep in mind that every bit of your case is as important as the other, because you cannot fail in some way and still get endorsed. Everything has to be perfect. The only example of the opposite is that if you cover all the 3 criteria and one of them fails, then you still can get endorsed because you have to cover at least 2 out of the 3. So I have mostly talked about the Arts Council during the last couple of slides, but there are also other routes in the arts and culture category. So these are other endorsing bodies. They're PACT, BFC, and RIBA. PACT covers all the applicants that work for film and TV. This is a very complicated endorsing body, and it is, in my experience, it is very hard to get endorsed in this route. So, as it says on the slides, there is no exceptional promise category, and you have to have won or been nominated for a very major industry award. There is a list on the PACT website of all the eligible awards that you can read if you need to know more about this, but they are very major industry awards. So you have to be a really recognized leader in the industry. So I have had a director who got endorsed under the PACT route, and it was complicated because, for instance, PACT always contacts the referees when the application is submitted. They call them or they email them, and they ask whether they really have signed the letter, whether they confirm that everything in the letter is true, that they send them the text of the letter and they have to confirm that it is all true. So it is a very strict endorsing body. Then we have the BFC, the British Fashion Council. This route is for the fashion designers, and they have their own categories of criteria. I will not go into this in detail because it is a whole different topic, but it is important to know that this option also exists for people who design and sell their clothes collections. Then we have the RIBA, the Royal Institute of British Architects. It is also a complicated endorsing body, but I recently have had an endorsement that was quite easy to achieve, for example. So again, you have to show media recognition, you have to show an award, and as it says on the slide, publish or exhibit work in at least 2 countries for the talent application. And in my experiences, a RIBA case is easier to strengthen on your own than, for instance, the British Fashion Council, because in the case of British Fashion Council, it is hard to strengthen your case if you already don't have the necessary requirements. And for PACT, it is basically, it's not possible to strengthen your case if you don't have a BAFTA or a Golden Globe or any awards from an international festival. RIBA can be strengthened if you don't have enough evidence on your hands as of now. So these are all the special routes of the Arts and Council pathway, and basically you can go deeper into them, but this is not the topic of today's discussion, so this is it. Then another important topic regarding this route is supported and ineligible disciplines, because there are many specialists who work in the Arts and Council industry, but not all of them are covered by the Arts Council guidelines. So the full list can be found in the guide that is available on the Arts Council website, but we can see on this slide the supported areas that can be eligible in any case. So this is the combined arts, one of the less frequent discipline, I would say. So for example, I didn't have any clients in the combined arts area, but it is eligible. Then we have dance, any kind of dance, literature, but literature is a bit more complicated because, for example, nonfiction is not covered; it is ineligible, and well, journalism is not covered. You have to write fiction. Um, yes. Then you have music, everything connected to music, but um, as we can see on the right, but radio DJs and everything connected to this. So music has to be performed. It has to be performance based, and it has to be creative, for instance. Then you have theater. It speaks for itself. So if you act in any way or form, if you act in plays, if you perform some pantomime, or if you perform in a circus, you're eligible for this route. And we have the visual arts. What is important to note here, that you have to work in you're not allowed to demonstrate your work if it is commercial based. So if you are a freelancer, for example, if you're a designer working on a freelance basis, your work will be ineligible because it has to be uh, aimed at exhibitions, it has to be aimed at the arts scene, not for sale. So, for instance, if you draw covers for magazines, this is kind of a gray area because on the one hand it is commercial based, on the other hand it is editorial illustration, and it is not set in the guide where it goes, whether it is eligible or not. So visual arts is a difficult topic because you have to prove that your work is not commercial based. So sales can only be done through exhibitions. If your work was sold during an exhibition, then it is eligible. If you sold it to a client, it is not eligible. And on the right here, we can see ineligible areas. It is just an extract from the guides because it is a very long list. And before you decide to submit your application, you have to consult this list and see whether your area of expertise is supported. Because, well, as you can see here, hairstyling, makeup, nail art, modeling is a very popular route because I have had some potential clients who are models, very successful models. Well, they are automatically not eligible. However, they will not be not eligible. So as you can see again, graphic product and UX design not for exhibition is not eligible, but we're going to get back to this soon because there's a new route that is launching in a month that will make all these specialists eligible. So yes, I advise you to check the list before you decide to apply, because if we, for example, make a comparison with the US talent visas, all of these areas that are ineligible for the UK, they're eligible for the US. So some people might get confused and think that if the US accepts these areas, then the UK accepts them too, but it is not the case. So you have to check and be sure. So yes, as I have mentioned, Arts Council is launching a new industry route. It is going to cover the design achievements. There are not many details yet, so we don't know for sure what kind of design experience will be accepted. For instance, I believe interior design will be accepted, maybe product design, UX design, something like this. Maybe editorial design, editorial illustration might be included into this route. So we're waiting for more details from the Arts Council and the UKVI. But what we know so far is that Arts Council is going to be responsible for this route. So they will have both talent and promise routes. And the documents that will be required for the submission are basically the same as for the General Arts and Arts Council applications. It will have 3 letters of support, 1 from the UK organization and 2 from organizations from any other country. And you will have up to 10 pieces of evidence that are going to cover at least 2 criteria. We have here some guesses regarding as to what kind of evidence might be required, but again, it is still not yet decided, or maybe it is decided, but we still don't know about it. In any way, we have still a month to go until July 1st, and I believe throughout this time there will be some news that will uncover the concrete requirements for the endorsement under the design route. So as you can see, it might be internationally exhibited or published design work. It can be, well, most likely you will have to have worked for at least 5 years for the talent route. You will have to have media recognition in the same way that I have talked about earlier. So it has to be a critical evaluation of your work, not an announcement of some kind or mention of your name. It has to be a critical review. Then again, international projects or distribution of your work, maybe some metrics. If you're a product designer, it might be the metrics of the app that you have designed or the website that you have designed. Maybe you have had some influence on how well the app is sold, how well the app is downloaded. If you were a product designer, so it might have some value to the case. And well, the obvious one is the awards. So if you have won an award of some kind in the design industry, then you might be eligible for this criterion. Yes, so and finally, I would like to talk about the strengthening of your profile because the majority of the applicants that I see in my